Coronation Street's Lucy Fallon's tears over horrific true grooming story as Bethany Platt's sex ring plot darkens. Bethany Platt has been groomed by older boyfriend Nathan Curtis to have sex with his friends for money. Coronation Street's Lucy Fallon has revealed her horror at learning the terrifying true story that inspired Bethany Platt's shocking sex ring storyline, and how Bethany's woes will get far worse before they get better. Viewers have watched in anger as vulnerable schoolgirl Bethany, 16, is groomed by evil older boyfriend Nathan Curtis, culminating in him forcing her to have sex with his friend Neil in tomorrow night's episode. It's harrowing to watch, especially as the whole storyline has been inspired by a real-life Bethany, who spoke to Corrie producers about her personal ordeal at the hands of sex ring which lasted for 6 years. Fallon, who plays Bethany, was introduced to the woman, who uses the name Lucy, through the NSPCC. She talked through what had happened to her. She was really young, just 10, but it progressed until she was 16. "That was horrific, it was really horrific," said Fallon. "That helped me understand how people get into those situations, because obviously I've never been through anything like that and neither has anyone I know. It was hard to put myself in that situation. When I met Lucy I was really crying during our talk with her," she added. Fallon went on to say, "When I spoke to Lucy the word everyone uses for people like her is survivor, but when asked if she preferred to be called survivor or victim, she said victim because she said survivor makes it seem like she's fine but she isn't. It's something she will live with for the rest of her life. She has days when she feels horrible and will self-harm. So I think something like this lives with someone forever, so Bethany has to change or it won't be realistic." Fallon said the dark storyline had changed how she feels about social media, as what happened to Lucy began through grooming on social media. "When we spoke to Lucy it started on social media. So if I have a child, boy or girl, it's changed the way I feel about them being on social media from such a young age. I don't think it should be allowed," said Fallon. "I think there should be an age limit, I think 16. When you're young, especially Lucy, she was really vulnerable. She didn't have a good family support behind her so she went to social media to try and speak to people because she was lonely and that's how it started with her." Fallon said Lucy's input was invaluable at making the storyline realistic, allowing it to provide a true warning of the dangers of grooming. "When we spoke to her there were scenes where she said she didn't think this or that would happen, so, Corrie boss, Kate changed it," said Fallon. She also said there would be pornographic pictures involved, so Kate said she would consider that. She gave a lot of input into how she thinks the story should play out and what she wasn't happy with, so I do feel a lot of pressure for her. She was so nice. I hope to speak to her again." Fallon said that speaking to Lucy had made her even more passionate about getting the storyline right and raising awareness of a dark and dangerous subject. "It sounds weird, but it's exciting to get a gritty storyline that you can really get your teeth into," she said. "Speaking to Lucy has made me feel quite passionate about it and really determined to do it justice. Even though it's uncomfortable to watch, and I find it uncomfortable to watch, I think it's so important. I'm determined to do it justice." Fallon also said that things will get worse for Bethany before they get better. In tomorrow night's episode, vulnerable Bethany will be forced to have sex with Nathan's friend on her sick boyfriend's instruction, before facing a similar ordeal in upcoming episodes. Her attackers are all members of a UK sex ring with Nathan. The teenager is shocked when Neil pops up again next week and suggests to Nathan they invite another male friend, Ian, to join their party, leaving Bethany fearing the same thing will happen again. Bethany desperately attempts to stop her horrific ordeal in Friday's episode by saying no and telling Nathan's pal Neil she's not that kind of girl, but her pleas fall on deaf ears as she is left in tears on the bed. The teen is forced into the situation after Nathan lies about having financial problems, then shouts at Bethany for allowing a stranger to remove camera equipment from his apartment. Bethany wants to make amends with Nathan so agrees to his plan of meeting Neil, completely unaware of just what the two men have in mind. Nathan then stuns Bethany by proposing to her next week, the latest part of his vile scheme to encourage Bethany to keep having sex with strangers in exchange for money in his pocket. A Corrie rep said, "It is an extremely complex and thought-provoking story which has been meticulously researched and hasn't been undertaken lightly by the program's production team." Chris Harper, the actor who plays evil Nathan, appeared on ITV's This Morning yesterday to hint at things getting very difficult for Bethany, and said forcing Bethany to sleep with Neil was just the tip of the iceberg. "She's going to be entering a very dark place," said Chris. "Nathan introducing his friend Neil is really the beginning." He said Nathan talks Bethany into sleeping with Neil by mocking her maturity and preying on her weaknesses, including the age gap between Nathan and Bethany. "He teases her about what grown-ups actually do and what's acceptable," explained Chris. "He's always saying, 'You wouldn't understand, this is what it's really like and you'll get it when you're older.' It's about finding that weakness and then he traps her in it and guilt-trips her into it, saying, 'The only way you can help me is to do this,' and she sacrifices herself as she's so scared of losing him." Chris confirmed his character is part of a sex ring and Nathan's only using Bethany as a form of currency, whereas she's falling in love with him. "He's done it before to other people and he's doing it to other people concurrently," said Chris. "He's part of a gang. Bethany is falling in love with this guy who treats her really well and appears to love her. He treats her kindly, welcomes her into his flat and life, but actually he's in it totally for what he can get out of it financially." Fallon has admitted her father and boyfriend find the horrifying scenes too distressing to watch. "My mum watches it but I don't think my dad can watch it at the moment. And my boyfriend doesn't watch because he finds it too uncomfortable. I find it uncomfortable to watch because it's me in it," she said. "She does end up sleeping with Neil and it upset me because she's saying no and I'm not that kind of girl and he just lays her on the bed. I had to cry and it was like, oh, this is horrible. I could really put myself in that mindset. I think you kind of have to, otherwise you're not doing it properly.